Hey everyone, I'm Corey Siegel, and in this video we're talking about smoked brisket on the Big Green Egg. Whether this is your first time cooking a brisket on the Big Green Egg or you're just looking for a couple tips and tricks, we're going to go through everything start to finish to set you up for success. So before we get started, let's talk about some of the gear you need. So obviously a Big Green Egg, this one's a large that I'm using, an XL you can fit a couple more briskets on, 100% natural lump charcoal, a good smoking wood like post oak, a convector, drip pan, wireless thermometer, butcher paper, sharp knife, cutting board, and some heat-proof gloves. Now let's talk about picking up a brisket. So you want to look for what's called a full packer brisket. That's this right here. This is about 15 pounds. It has the flat and the point connected to it, so you have both muscles. This one here is a USDA grade prime brisket. It's going to have a lot of intramuscular fat. It's going to help be really juicy and super nice in the end. A good rule of thumb, plan for about half a pound of brisket per person, unless you're feeding a bunch of hungry people that like to eat, like myself. So now take your sharp knife and we're going to start to clean up the bottom here. Just removing any of this excess fat, any silver skin that might be on here. So we got the bottom nice and cleaned up. We're going to flip it over. Not every brisket's going to be perfect as it comes from the meat packing facility. You're going to see this one already has a little bit of the fat removed off of the top here. On the top side here, we're going to start by cutting out all this waxy fat, this kind of thick stuff that's back in here. This we're going to render down, use this as tallow. This is going to get poured over the brisket as we're wrapping it. It's going to cook in it, it's going to rest, it's going to be absolutely delicious. And that's a great part to utilize. I mean, make some eggs with it. It's just good to utilize that fat for other stuff to be delicious. As we're cutting down here, we want to make sure we don't go too deep. We want to leave about 1/4 inch of fat going across the whole thing. And so as I'm removing this fat, I like to work down, but also round it. We're going to round out this whole front side to make sure that there's no edges that are going to burn. So over here, you have something called the mohawk. We're going to go ahead and remove most of that. Now, it may look like we're trimming a lot of useful meat. All this stuff is useful. You can put this in burgers, sausages, chili, just grind it up, and it's all just amazing tasting meat that you can put to good use. So on the flat here, you're very rarely going to get one that's even all the way across. It's going to be pretty thick on one side and thinner. We're going to round out that thinner side to help it cook more evenly. And then we're going to continue to round out this flat, again, to create that aerodynamic all-roundness so you're not having those right angles or sharp edges that can burn during the smoking process. So to season the brisket, we're going to add a little bit of mustard. This is going to be a good binder for us. And then we're very generously going to season this meat with a mixture of just straight salt and pepper. If you want to add some garlic or some chili powder, go ahead. It's just going to be extra flavor. But, you know, the kind of Texas, let the meat talk for itself. Using this Dalmatian rub is pretty classic. So now we're going to let that brisket sit with the seasoning on it. At least 1 hour, but if you can go 12 hours, 24, that's how I like it. It lets the salt kind of penetrate through the meat. For me, it gives you a little bit more of a tastier bite. All right, now it's time to light up the egg. First thing we want to do is remove any of the ashes in the bottom. We're going to add on that lump charcoal, and we're going to fill it all the way up to the air holes. We're going to add a starter and burn right in the middle of the coals. It's important that you use lump charcoal and fill it all the way up to the top to make sure you don't run out of a fuel source towards the end of your cook. The last thing you want to do is be opening it up and trying to add more fuel to the fire. So the egg's approaching 225. We're going to take some post oak wood chunks, add them onto the fire, followed by our convector, the drip pan, and the grill grate. So once we get up to 250, you're going to take that bottom air vent and close it to about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch open. This is going to allow airflow, but also help maintain the temperature at that 250 that we want to cook at. You can also control the heat with the top regulator, but I like to leave mine all the way open. So the meat's back out of the fridge. We're going to go ahead and set it on the Big Green Egg, fat side down. So the reason we're going fat side down on the egg is because we want the fat to be closest to the heat source. And since the heat's coming up, it's hitting that convector, that thing's going to radiate a lot of heat. We want that fat to protect the bottom. You want to make sure that you stick the probe inside the flat. That way you don't overcook it. It's going to take us about 6 hours to get to that 160 mark. We'll monitor the probe and then we'll check on it there to see how that bark has developed. All right, it's been about 6 hours now. Our temperature is showing 160. Let's take a look at this. This color's looking super nice. You want to use that 160 as a guide. That's kind of when you start getting into the stall and the temperature doesn't rise as quickly. But most importantly, you want to make sure you have the right color, that your brisket looks nice and dark, you have that bark form, because once we wrap, you're not going to get any more of that. So here, if we need to go up another 5-10 degrees, working in 20-minute intervals to make sure you get that nice color, that nice bark development before we start to wrap. But this one looks good, so let's go ahead and pull it off and start to wrap. Wrapping is going to be important for a few reasons. One, during this stall, you have evaporative cooling. So just like when you're outside and you start to sweat when you get warm, to cool your body down, the meat is getting this water layer that's coming over the top of it, cooling the meat down. So by wrapping it, it's helping kind of keep that momentum and let you continue through the stall to get up to our finishing temperature. As well, it's going to help keep all of those juices inside the meat to just make it super tender and delicious. So we're going to take our butcher paper. These are 18-inch rolls, 2 sheets, and I like to overlap them. We'll take our brisket, just throw it right in the middle of the paper. So remember all that fat we trimmed out earlier? We rendered that down to tallow. I'm just going to pour a little bit over the top here. It's just going to be super juicy and delicious. We're just going to fold over the top here. Kind of tuck these edges in. Now that we got this wrapped up nice and tight, let's get it back on the egg. We're going to cook to an internal temperature of 203. Then we're going to check it to make sure it's done. Probe's going off at 203. Let's check this brisket. A good way to tell if the brisket's done, use a probe and just kind of stick it in. It should just be like going through soft butter. So now, resting is the most important part. We're going to let this sit in a cooler, a nice insulated cooler. You want to let it rest for about 1 hour at minimum. If you can do 2 hours, 3 hours, even better. You can also tell when the meat bends a little bit, has this nice jiggle to it, that it's nice and tender and ready to rest. All right, so this has been resting for about 2 hours now. Let's unwrap it and check it out. Oh, this thing is looking good. Look at this jiggle. So the brisket has those 2 different muscles, one going one direction and the other. So you always want to cut across the grain. So first thing we're going to do is cut right down the middle and check this thing out. This thing is feeling super tender. It smells amazing. You know, the lean side is going to be exactly what it is. It's going to be a little bit leaner. We call this the fattier side. It's going to have a little bit more marbling inside, a little juicier. And so on your point here, I like to go a little bit thicker. And again, we're going to cut this way instead of the other direction. So one way to tell if the brisket's done, it should just pull apart super easy. But there's also this thing called the bend test. This is bending absolutely perfectly. It's not like rigid, it's soft, it's coming right over, but it's not falling apart. That's super important. And this, it literally just falls apart. So good. As far as the smoke ring goes on the brisket, guys, sometimes you're going to nail it. Sometimes it's not going to be quite there. Don't worry about it. It doesn't affect the flavor in any way. It's purely aesthetic. It's purely a chemical reaction between the meat and the smoke. So if you nail it, awesome. It looks super pretty. But if not, it's still going to taste amazing. And there you have it, a beautiful brisket cooked low and slow on the Big Green Egg. Super easy. If you want a free printable checklist to keep you on track, check the link below. Tag us in the next one you make, and we can't wait to see what you cook.